And we are recording. Excellent. Hi, I'm Robin Forster with Feel So Alive and Feel So Alive Informed. And I do this very fun program twice a month. And today I want to tell you about the guest that I have. So, Sandra, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
Excellent. So, Sandra, let me tell you a little bit about her background. She has been on a spiritual journey. Oh, and I'm reading this just to make sure that I get it all correct. She's been on a spiritual journey since she was a child when she first saw angels surrounding her bed. Later in life, she began to see auras, and then she stepped into her empathic skills and into releasing past lives that no longer served the person she was working with. She also is able to actually feel what is happening in other people's bodies, minds, and emotions. So she channels things, mostly new ideas and procedures, and they come to her completely finished. That sounds very awesome. So, Sandra, I know that there's some other things on your bio, but I have a feeling that you're probably going to talk about some of those things. So, let's go ahead and get started. And my first question to you is tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, as I said, as Robin said, when I was a child, I talked to angels when I went to sleep. And when I told my mother, she freaked out and said I wasn't seeing angels, that only prophets or crazy people saw angels, and I was neither. So I stopped seeing them and I just turned off whatever gifts I had. And it wasn't until I was a young adult that I started spontaneously having one vision over and over when I was busy doing things like at work. I was a restaurant manager and I was wandering around looking at what was happening, and boom, I was in a whole different place. And it felt like I was there for 15 or 20 minutes, but it was microseconds before I flipped back into this reality. And that happened a couple more times, when I was driving down the road, when I was in the store and grocery shopping. They weren't when I was meditating and suddenly had a vision. So that sent me on a quest to see if I was crazy or what. And that journey sent me to learning tarot and astrology. And once I got studied it enough and got was able to do it, I found that I wasn't. I would look at what was on the astrology chart or what the cards said, and then I would just start channeling because I could hear what the person's limiting beliefs were and what was driving them in different directions that was opposed to what they were saying they wanted to know about. I never did prophecy because I don't believe in prophecy, I think. I believe that we create our own reality with our own belief systems, and what you believe is what you're going to attract. So, and my goal has always been to empower people with what I do. And when I found that people got stuck to me, like they couldn't make a decision until they checked with me to check the cards or astrology, I was unwilling to continue. So I stopped the astrology, and I occasionally will do it for friends or, if somebody refers me, but I stopped all of that and just started studying. And that's kind of where I went. I've studied a host of things, Reiki and Theta healing and Feng Shui and neuro-linguistic programming. And where I'm at right now is several months ago, maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, I heard that it was time to integrate everything and come from a holistic place. And that's pretty much what I do with business management. So I've my background is 10 years working in different forms of business management at different companies. I've owned and operated 6 different companies. Only one of them failed. I got a master's degree and a teaching certificate, and I spent 23 years teaching at the university level. And finally retired, and I'm doing what I love.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome.
my business model and what I propose for people is business model. And it works very nicely with healers, but it works with anyone in any business, whether you're making nails, or manufacturing nails, or you're painting houses, or whatever it is knowing what your spiritual values are. And for example, mine are unconditional divine love, compassion, and integrity. And I also have a value of everything that I do adding value. How is it that I'm adding value? And whatever I'm doing, whether I'm giving a talk, whether I'm working with a client in a healing situation, regardless of where I'm at, how am I adding value to the situation? It is my belief that if people did that as a business model, we'd have a whole different world. And when I was teaching at the university level in business management, my students would always say, "That's not possible. That's fantasy, because people don't operate off that. They operate off of greed, other." And I completely agree with them. I also would say that we really do attract what we most are, our beliefs and our actions. If we're walking our talk, we have a set of beliefs and we're walking our talk. That's what we're most going to attract. So while those greedy, dishonest people are out there, what I've discovered for myself as a businesswoman is that I attract people that have similar values to mine, that I can trust, and that want to add value and do their best, and that have really loving, warm hearts. So that's the business model that I try to help other healers work with. As healers, we have we're given a sacred right to really work with people, their whole psyches, their family history. They're placing themselves in our hands with trust. So I feel that it's even more important that we have a business model that matches that trust that they're giving us to help them with the issues that are in their life.
Wow. Yes, that would be wonderful. So it kind of sounds like you're talking about heart-centered business model.
Yes.
And speaking of that and giving back value and looking at the time, what are some tips, some things that you can suggest to people to feel better? And maybe if you want to throw one or two quick little business tips in there, but mostly about healing and how do you come from your heart when you're trying to market or run a business or
Right. Well, the business tips that I would give, two of them, I'll do that first and then I'll give the tip. The business tips I would say are you really do have to know who your market is and what you're going for. That's critical. And then you have to value yourself, what you bring to the table. And in particular with spiritual work, a lot of spiritual healers don't value themselves enough to charge what it's worth. I've spent 43 years learning what I have and honing those abilities and skills. 43 years is a long time that I bring to the table. So it's worth a lot. And so I look for customers that are ready to do the work and ready to make a commitment and ready to empower themselves with the tools that I give them and not put all the onus on me. So it's
makes sense.
knowing yourself, knowing your value, and knowing who your customer is and listening to that and giving them what they need. So that I think is crucial in any business at all times.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And what are a couple of tips for those folks who are wanting to feel better? What is something that you can take home and apply?
The main thing that I have been telling people for a long time now is breathe. And it sounds really silly to breathe, but we are in such a stressful point in our history. But even before the pandemic and all the election nonsense, we lived a really high stress life. And stress causes illness. It causes unwellness in our emotional body, our mental body, our physical bodies. So when you're in stress, you're in the sympathetic nervous system, and that your adrenals are going, your stress is going. And all you have to do is think thoughts to go into that sympathetic nerve system. So you can use the breath to take yourself into the parasympathetic, which is calmness. From that state of calm and relaxation, you're better able to make better decisions, set your goals right, feel good, sleep better, eat better, all of those things. So it's really, really simple. I get up in the morning and I usually do 27 of them with my mala. But you don't have to do that many. And then whenever I'm feeling stressed of the day, I do 3 or 4. And all it is fully breathing in for a count of 4, and then blowing and through your nose. So you breathe in, and then you breathe out for 8 through your mouth. And if you're not in public, I like to say ah and just relax and feel the tension really. And you do it continuously in a continuous sound. And you can do 2-4. And if it's daytime, I like to do 2-4 rather than 4-8. 4-8 will calm you down a lot and maybe want you to go take a nap. So you breathe in, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, out, 2, 3, 4, and a lot slower. But you do continuous. And 3 or 4 during the day of those will relax you. In the morning, I do 27 just to make sure I'm approaching my day from a clear-headed, relaxed place. And then sometimes if it's safe, I'll do 12 during the day if I've gotten stressed. So
Excellent.
it's simple, it's free, and it works.
Oh, that is excellent. And speaking of your day, I know that you have another appointment coming up. And so I would just like to thank you very much for your time and for sharing your tips, both business and breathing is such a key. It's just, I find myself sometimes standing at my desk almost holding my breath. And it's like, why am I doing that? That doesn't really work for me. So I appreciate you sharing that technique.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you very much. And